You've heard about love languages, but what about love strategies? Let's welcome Charlotte and Robert Snow with Master Your Marriage to the table. Welcome back.
Thank you. So great to be back.
Reunion.
Yeah.
You guys were here last February.
We were.
Will you catch us up in the last 12 months? How has life been for you both?
So good, so good. Like with us and also with all the new things that we were launching last year. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. We've launched a few new courses. We've been able to help thousands of couples and through the podcast and through the courses. So it's been a fabulous year of love.
Yeah.
And where
A year of love, yeah.
A year of love. People are like, hey, what classes, what podcast? Tell us, like, where can people find you?
Well, Master Your Marriage is the name of the podcast. So you can just find it on Spotify or iTunes, or you can go to the website, which is masteryourmarriagepodcast.com.
How many episodes have you recorded?
We just finished a year, so I think we're up to 53 that have aired.
Oh, you're doing like one a week?
One a week.
That's a lot.
It
It's
is.
a whole nother job.
That's a lot of talking to your spouse. Okay.
It is.
Is it just you two, or do you have guests?
Occasionally we have a guest, but most of the time it's just
We
us.
need
That's so cool.
Okay,
yeah,
I could
we need
use
to
a new
listen to
podcast.
that. Okay, so master your marriage. So how do we master our marriage? How do we keep love alive?
Oh, such a good question.
Oh, it's not loaded at all.
No, it's not loaded. I wanted to start with a story because we talked a little bit about love strategies, right?
Yep.
So here's a story. So one year, I thought for Christmas I would do something really awesome.
Okay.
365 love notes. 365. I love you because, right? And I gave this to my bride, and it didn't land. And now the usefulness that this is we use this when we teach classes, when we talk about love strategies. It is now a prop that I just dust off the shelf and I bring it out because that's where it has its utility. But the point is that oftentimes we demonstrate our love in the way that we like to receive love, not necessarily in the way that our partner likes to receive love.
Right. So this was many years
I'm
ago.
giggling over this. I have a story maybe off the air with that.
And he went to so much trouble, right? I didn't realize how much effort goes into coming up with 365 reasons why you love someone. I should have made a bigger deal about it.
It was a whole spreadsheet.
Did you even pick one out?
I did a few.
Okay.
Have you now read them all?
No.
So that is truly not your love strategy.
It's not my
though.
love
Words of
language.
affirmation.
No, it's like
It's
that
not
makes
it.
me embarrassed sometimes to like hear and read and process that.
Right. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. The way the brain works is the brain has a way that we have a strategy in our brain for how we do everything, for how we get motivated, how we procrastinate, how we brush our teeth. And our strategies run in the brain unconsciously. We don't really think about it ever. It just sort of happens. Well, we have a strategy for how we feel loved. And everyone's strategy is a little bit different. It's unique. And so it's comprised of our senses, our 5 senses. So something you either hear or see or feel, like touch. So it's comprised of one of those. And all strategies are comprised of those. So when he gave this to me, as you can tell, it was made up of words, which are things that we hear, which wasn't my love strategy. So there is a way that we can figure out one another's love strategy. And if we can feed that to one another on a daily basis, we cause each other to feel loved. And everybody wants that, right? We want to feel loved. We want to feel like we matter. We want to feel like we're important to this other person. But if we're not speaking that same language, it just doesn't click in the brain.
And the beauty of that language, of understanding that, is I call it the easy button. Like, wouldn't you want to know your partner's love language so that you could just hit the easy button and fire
Unless
up?
it's the hardest way for you to give love.
It is
Yeah,
sometimes.
so it is the hardest way.
Right.
But when you love and are invested in this other person, it's okay. It's easy, right? So Charlotte's easy. I kiss the back of her neck and I win.
But funny story, like every time we used to take a drive, I used to reach across the car and put my hand on his thigh and wait for him to hold my hand or grab his seatbelt and just kind of touch him all the time. Well, I thought I was showing love. And then one day I asked him, when can you remember the last time that you felt really loved by me? And he's like, I don't know. Like he couldn't really answer the question.
We're giving the
How do you think I want to be loved?
Yeah.
Right. How do you think he wants to be loved? We're feeding each
your
other.
physical touch and your words of affirmation.
Right.
Yeah. We have a little bit of a different way in how we figure out what someone's brain language. We use brain language to ask the brain, like, how does this person want to be loved? And the question is, Can you remember a time, and you guys could all do this if you want to right now, maybe not when you're on the spot, but maybe later.
Okay.
But can you remember a time, a specific actual moment in time when you felt truly deeply loved by your significant other or someone, anyone? Can you remember a time? And if you can go back to that time right now in your mind, go ahead and actually do that. Float down into your body, see what you saw, hear what you heard, feel all those feelings of being totally deeply loved by someone. Then ask yourself, was it, and I'll give you 3 choices, in order for you to feel totally loved, was it necessary for you to be taken places, bought things, or looked at with that special look? That's choice number 1. Or was it to hear a certain tone of voice, or to hear those special words? Or number 3, was it to, I said hear, so, or to be touched in a certain place or in a certain way? So was it something you saw, to be taken places, bought things, or looked at with that special look, or to hear a certain tone of voice or those special words, or to be touched in a certain way or in a certain place? And so then people say, okay, well, I like all those things.
Right.
Well, usually when we're dating, we are doing all of those things. That's why we feel loved. But then, the longer we've been together, we start to do what we were doing, which was just show
Back
each
to
other.
what's easy for us.
Easy for us.
Yes.
And it's the way that we feel love. And this is not the easiest thing to do, as you mentioned, right? Like, what if you don't really like to do that? I love to hear, right, words, right? She likes physical touch, and still, even to this day, like, I'll come out and I'm like, I look good, don't I?
Yes. He's fishing for words all the time.
And she says, you look good. I'm like, thank you. And I look good. So it's because we want to give it in the way that we feel loved. So maybe your quickest strategy is to figure out what are the things that are important to you, and then you'll realize that you realize that piece.
And run that question several times. Okay, what was another time? What was another time? And start to see the pattern. And then share those stories with your significant other. Start to share that time that you did this for me. Oh my gosh, I just felt so loved. And ask them, like, tell me about those times. And if you are still struggling to figure out which one it is, what you'll find is that the one that probably is the hardest for you to live without is probably the one. If you're like down to 2, and you're like, okay, but which one would really feel so bad not to have? That's the one.
Okay, so maybe another hard question. So how do you change that, or don't hurt the other one's feelings or irritate them by, wow, that was, I mean, I went to all that work. I did all the, without.
You just, be okay with it.
Right.
Sometimes, like, if you're doing that words of affirmation, are you just like, okay, I know he's trying.
He's joking. Yeah.
Right?
When he comes out in the morning and he says, don't I look good? I smile, I laugh, and I realized, okay, I haven't actually been doing enough of that.
Right.
So let me be a little bit more
Or if he gives you those cheesy notes, and you're like, okay, right now he's trying, so I'm just going to love on that
you just
for a
have to
minute.
realize we're all different people.
Right.
We're all so different. We have a different brain, and we see and perceive different things, and it's okay that we're different. We didn't marry there's a whole Seinfeld hilarious skit on that, but we didn't marry ourselves. Or we're not with this person who's like us. We wouldn't like them if they were. There's a reason that we appreciate these differences in one another. So can we just become more curious about finding out what those differences are, and honoring and respecting them and loving them for those differences that we love to begin with?
Totally.
So fun.
If we start by being curious, right, then we start becoming a student of our partner. And when you become a student of your partner, what makes them tick, what makes them light up, then you start to win the battle. You start to find the easy button, right? And if we remain curious, and there's a great leadership quote, and it says the difference between a great leader and a good leader is a great leader realizes there's more to learn. And it's the same thing in a relationship. The difference between a great partner and a good partner is a great partner realizes there's still much to learn and to explore about their partner, so that they can continue to just love and see them, because we all change. We change every day. The things I liked last year, I don't necessarily like this year as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I think it's looking at this spouse before yourself. And sometimes it's important to take care of ourselves too. But if you take care of someone else, I feel like it reflects back. Then they start to do the same back
absolutely.
to you.
When you're both firing off that love strategy for one another on a daily basis, like everybody wins.
You want to do it more. You're
wanna
like,
do
ooh, I
more.
got positive feedback from
Yes.
that. That made me feel good.
And then
Hopefully
that's that
the same.
snowball effect.
Yes.
Yeah. And let this just be the beginning. This is one way that you can become that expert in your partner, and just become a student of all the things about how we change. We call it updating our love maps with each other. Just be a student of each other's inner psychological world and what makes them tick and what goals they have, what aspirations and fears and what they have going on in their life. Let this be the beginning of a year of curiosity about one another and exploring who you are now as compared to who you were last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And people are really busy now. Like this has to be a priority, right? It has to really be up on the priority list of let's set some time aside to be together and even talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Love Maps is kind of the foundation for us when we teach couples. Like, this is the foundation of having a really good friendship. And friendship is the foundation of all thriving relationships. We just have to put a little bit of time and effort in. It's the small and simple things we do often that make the significant differences.
Love that. I think this is perfect for the month of love.
Yeah. How about make it a year of love?
Yes.
Let's do it.
A lifetime of love is what it says.
There it was. Yeah. I like
The
it.
goals.
So master your marriage on Instagram,
Yes.
YouTube.
Yes, and TikTok,
Website,
all the
okay.
social media, and mastermarriagepodcast.com for the website.
Perfect.
Congratulations.
Come back and
Thank you
see
for
us
coming.
sooner.
Absolutely.
Don't
That
be too
was fun.
fast.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.